Hello, in this video I'm going to show you some tricks for using Gmail to help you manage large volumes of email. I'm just in the My Monash portal here, so I'll click on the email tile. Okay, so here's my email. A lot of unread messages. You can see this is a student account that I have for testing. It's subscribed to the Moodle page for Eng 1003, and you can see it's getting lots of email from forum posts and from announcements, such as this one, just slightly more important, and it may also be getting other mail, like something here from a system called Asana, and there might be some global email in here too, but I can't really see any of that right now. In your professional career, you're very likely to receive a large amount of email. It's also quite likely that you might use Gmail or a similar service. Let's pick one of these emails. I'm just going to pick one of the forum posts. I'm going to open it and have a look at it. If I go up here to the More button, I can click on this, and there's an option here that says filter messages like these. And if I click on this, it's going to have a look at that email message and determine that that email message corresponds to a particular mailing list, in this case a Moodle forum. And behind this, it's given me a search of all of the email messages that are of a similar type. Of course, you can tailor this, and you can change how it's searching to instead be based on some criteria. But in this case, it looks like it's working pretty well, so we're going to leave this. So now what we're going to do is go to this option down here, Create Filter, with this search. So I'm going to click this, and I get another set of options, and it basically says, when a message arrives that matches this search, what do I want to do with it? Well, our aim here is to reduce our inbox to the kind of messages we might want to deal with quickly that are more important, and filter other messages into folders that we can, or into labels, as Gmail calls them, that we can deal with at different paces. So what I'm going to choose to do here is I'm going to choose to apply a label, which is like creating a sort of subfolder where these messages are going to be kept. And I can choose from labels. At the moment, I don't have any labels. I mean, I have an inbox, I have a drafts folder, but I don't have any other labels. So I'm going to create a new label. And I'm going to call this Eng 1003 forum. And I'm going to click Create. So you can see over here now, I now have what looks like a little folder of messages called Eng 1003 forum. And what's going to happen now is these messages are going to end up in here. And there's one more option I can choose here, which is skip the inbox. And basically what will happen is that any messages from this forum won't show up in my inbox. They'll only show up here, and I'll be able to see a count of the messages that are there. So I'm going to choose that option, skip the inbox. And now this, when I create this filter is going to get applied to all new mail I get that matches this criteria. In this case, there's already a lot of mail in my inbox that matches this criteria. So I'm going to choose to click this button down the bottom here that says also apply filter to matching conversations, which is basically going to apply the filter to everything that's already shown here. So I'm going to click Create Filter. What's going to happen is I'm back to my message where I was. I'm going to go back to my inbox, and you can now see that 72 of the messages that were in my inbox were from that forum, and they're now in this separate folder, and I can see the count here. And if I click on it, I can just see all of those forum posts. So you can choose to do this with your different units, and we can do a similar thing with the announcement emails, which you can now see listed here. So I'm going to pick one of the announcements from Eng 1003. I'm going to go into it. I'm going to again filter messages like these. We get a different criteria that matches just the announcements, and I'm going to go through the same process. I'm going to create a filter. I'm going to tell it to skip the inbox. I'm going to tell it to apply a label, and I'm going to choose a new label. I don't want to mix it with the forum posts because the news and announcement posts are more important. It's important that I see them and that I do read all of them. So I'm going to choose new label. I'm going to say Eng 1003 announcements. I'm going to choose to apply the filter to the 8 conversations here. These will now get filtered into this, and we can see there's 7 messages here. Maybe my label's a bit long and I don't actually see it displayed here. So there's the news announcements forum. If I go back to my inbox, I'm now going to see other messages that I would not have otherwise seen, such as this student global wireless network instructions for access, which is fairly important message from eSolutions telling me about problems with accessing the wireless network. Same sort of thing with this weekend power shutdown. So these are global emails that go to all students, and they're generally going to be really important. So I could choose to do the same kind of filtering on these. Filter messages like these. The filter here is choosing to filter anything that comes from the email address student.global. I can again go through the same process, skip inbox, apply a label, new label. I'm going to call this one global. I'm going to apply it to everything, and I'm now going to get this what looks like a global folder with all of these messages, and they don't show up in my inbox. So basically this process allows you to take some subset of your emails and filter them. You can also create sub-labels here if you wish to. So there's an option if I expand and click this more button here. There's an option that says manage labels, and under here it takes me into the settings, and there's the sort of what are called system labels: inbox, starred, important, some ones that are automatically created for you by Gmail. Then there's the ones that we've created down here, and we can create new labels. So if I wanted to show this sub labels, I can create a new label and call it Eng 1003, and then I can choose to take this announcements label, change it to just announcements, and nest the label under Eng 1003. And I can do the same thing with the forum by clicking edit and now you can see I have my Eng 1003 option, and below it I have announcements and forum. So you could order this however you want. You could order all your announcements and just have it include all of your units that you're doing in a semester, or you could separate it by unit. Now we've seen how we can edit and modify the labels that we have here in settings, but you can also edit the filters that you created. So there's another tab at the top, filters and blocked addresses. If you click on this, you get a list of any of the filters you've created, and you can see we have the global filter. We also have the filter for announcements and for the forum, and you can see these in here. And if you want to later modify them or delete them or export them or import ones from a different email account, you can do all of those things. The final thing in settings that I wanted to show you was a way that you can allow mail clients on your computer to be able to access your Monash email without necessarily using Gmail's web interface. So if you have a mail client, you can use that. How you do so is like this. You go to this forwarding and pop IMAP, and we basically need to enable IMAP access, and you see here, access Monash University mail from other clients using IMAP, and it'll tell you how to do this. This is how you can access your mail on your phone using the mail client on, for example, iPhone, and there's instructions on how to configure things like Outlook or Thunderbird or Mail on the Mac. And what you need to do is enable IMAP, and when you do this you get some options. You can basically leave these options here, and you want to click Save Changes at the bottom. And each of these labels you've created then becomes a folder in an ordinary mail client, and you can see this will be a folder with 7 messages in, this will be a folder with 72 messages in. So that's how they'll show up for you. And when you move things out of an inbox into a folder in your mail client, then it's basically adding them to the relevant labels, or adding the relevant labels to the messages on Gmail here. So the use of filters and labels that I've shown in this video are something I use on a daily basis. I have maybe 50 labels in my work email, and I have probably 100 or so filters that filter messages into those. So whenever I get messages that go to my inbox that I feel should be in a folder and filed away and are not relevant for me to see straight away or urgently, I tend to create new filters for them. And this has allowed me to basically have several hundred emails a day, but reduce this to just a handful of mails that reach my inbox, and then these messages get automatically put into various folders, and I read these different folders at different speeds. So for example, in our case here with our announcements, if I was a student and I was studying, this would be one I would read whenever there were new messages, whereas the forum posts I might read when I had some spare time and wanted to see what other people were doing, or if I just wanted to search through there and look for a particular answer. So this is a way of managing large volumes of email. I hope you find this useful. Thanks for watching.